Okay, so we'll just start sitting comfortably. I have this new cushion that my cat decided is for him. So sitting comfortably, whatever that is for you, and just letting your spine be nice and tall, nice and long, relaxing the shoulders. We'll just start to elongate and slow down our breath a little bit and go inside. So taking just a few slow, deep breaths, drawing the air all the way down. And letting it come back out, all the way up and out. Relaxing the belly and the hips. If you'd like to add a little sound on the exhale to help release, feel free to let anything that wants to come out. I see a beautiful dog. A sigh or nice to bring in the four-leggeds into our practice when we can, when they're calm. They let us be. Letting the jaw relax, the tongue, brow. And then just taking one hand, gently tapping the hara or the dantian, just that low belly area right below the navel. Just a gentle tap there. As we breathe. Getting a little wake up down there. And then bringing our hands around our heart area, gently tapping the heart and thymus area on the chest. Waking up our immune system. And we'll take our hands to our head and massage a little bit around the scalp area. Yeah. Stimulating all the meridians running across our scalp. And then taking our hands to our ears, massaging the ears a little bit and pulling and rubbing a bit. This will kind of wake up that vagus nerve. So vagus nerve regulates our body's response. And then bringing our fingers inside of our ears, gently pulling down and holding. So we just take a couple breaths here. Good. And then releasing the arms out to the side, feeling our heart pull back towards our spine as we reach our fingers ahead of us, and then pulling our arms back and lifting our heart. Just letting our spine move a little bit. This also stimulates the heart chakra, right? So flapping our wings between open and reaching forward. Yeah, and open and breathe. Good. And then just going ahead, letting the arms come by our side, relaxing our shoulders. We're going to come into 90-90 pose. We'll bring our left, I really want my cushion. I'll get a different one. We'll bring our left foot forward. I guess I scared you off of it. And the knees bent, knees in line with the hip. Our right leg out from our right hip in that. I need to support my ankle here. Right, so 90-degree angle, and just let your hip relax here for a moment, feeling that internal rotation right in that right hip. And then we'll come forward over our left leg. Just kind of, if you want to have a pillow or a bolster in front of your leg to rest your head and arms on. Go. Now I got my pillow. Okay. So that knee is in line with our hip, forward knee, and we might slide our right leg back. That's optional, but I like to do that. Come forward here. We walk our arms a little bit to the left. We kind of take the pressure off, get a different stretch, or if you walk your arms toward your foot to the right, you increase that stretch more, right? So just finding what feels right for you. Also, another option, if you want to bend your knee and bring your foot closer towards your torso, kind of more into a sleeping swan, right, with the knee more bent, that's also an option, or leaving it in the 90-degree angle. Maybe exploring that if you want. That foot can move as long as we keep our knee in line with our hip. Can move, adjust the foot. Such an attentive dog you have. Oh. So just going inside and noticing what's present as we continue to relax into our breath, letting the mind still. These hip stretches like the 90-90 pose or the swan or the shoelace, where we really stretch the hip for a length of time, is so good for our hip and sacrum. Stretch that, get a deep stretch into the IT band and the lateral part of the leg. Also getting that gallbladder channel that runs up this outside of the leg. Good stretch for that. So this is a deep hip stretches are really good for our sciatic nerve, and an important thing to do to keep the that nerve channel flexible. Spending time in a compression and stretch of the hip. And as I mentioned, you can explore that a little bit with a kind of a modification toward a sleeping swan, right? If you bring your foot in closer and you sort of roll more onto your leg and put more pressure on that knee. That's an option if that feels good to you. Your knee likes that. It's good to put the compression in the knee if we can handle it. Keeps our knees healthy. Roll more up onto that leg and hip, or stay off to the side. Any of those variations. Okay, we're going to slowly bring ourselves up from there and sliding that right leg up as you come up. Always want to come out of a pose slowly so the connective tissue has a chance to come back. Doesn't bounce back. All right, so then from here, we'll straddle our legs. You can kind of shake them out a little bit. Yeah, especially the left leg. And we'll bring our left foot into towards our right thigh or half butterfly. And if you need a little bolster under that left knee, you can just stick a pillow under there or a bolster, and we'll come forward over our right leg. So just relaxing forward here. Come into it with that first rule of yin, finding our edge. So just relaxing forward without forcing. Second rule of yin is to just be still in the pose. And the third rule of yin is time. As we're here, we might find our body relaxing and letting go so that we get come a little deeper into the pose. You never want to force it. Really good stretch for the outer left hip, of course, the side body, through the shoulder, arm, especially if we're reaching our left hand more towards our foot. Increase that stretch a little bit. We're rounding our back, we're rounding our spine. Of course, we're stretching our spine and decompressing those vertebrae. Forward fold, if you're comfortable rounding forward and you're able to, that's really the best way and the only way, short of a inversion table to or hanging, to stretch our spine and decompress the vertebra. You know, some people, it's uncomfortable for their neck to let the head hang. And you can always lift your head. You can always rest your head on your hands. Always have a pillow in front of your arms and your head, your chest. So we're slowly going to walk up from this pose, just using our hands to press into the ground and lift up, coming out slowly. Oh, and then bringing the legs in front of us. We'll just give them a little movement here. Shake them around. You can lean back on your hands if you want, or whatever feels good to your legs. And then we'll come into 90-90 on the other leg. So right legs forward, left legs out. And just making sure the knees in line with the hip and the foot's in line with the knee. And letting your that hip joint just kind of relax for a moment. Internal rotation. And then we come forward over that leg. So again, if you want any pillows or bolsters in front of your, underneath your arms in front of you here. Come down gradually, and then we can slide that left leg back as much as it wants to go. Walk the arms a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left because it feels good to you on this side. Also, if you want to bring your foot in a little bit towards your torso, putting more bend in the knee, coming more into a sleeping swan, also an option. And coming more up onto the leg if you want to put more pressure into that hip and knee, more deepen the stretch in the hip, or just stay in 90-90. Feel free to explore those options. So in yin, we really try to feel our bones, right? So we go so deep into our physiology, into our anatomy, that we actually, and we have the time, that we actually feel our bones. And it's that bringing that awareness into the bones. That helps to sort of ply them when, stretch the ligaments and the tendons and the bones. You want to imagine that they're just being stretched. And it takes that total letting go into the pose and the time that it takes to give them that opportunity to stretch and hydrate. And of course, the muscles are stretching too. If there's ever any tenseness in the muscle, when you're not using your muscles, sometimes we do use our muscles a little bit, but whenever there's any tenseness in the muscle, when we're not using the muscle, that's an indication that we need to come out of the pose or make some sort of adjustment, right? So that we can totally relax the bones and the muscles, the tissue. Say the 90-90 and the sleeping swan poses are just about as yin as it gets. There's not much yang happening in these poses. Total letting go. And we'll slowly start to come up here. As we do, we slide our left leg up to and sitting. Bring the legs out in front. Of course, do whatever feels good to your legs. You might want to windshield wiper them or shake them out. Come into a straddle and shake them out. And then we'll bring our right foot in to our left thigh. And an option for that, which I need to do today, is to stay in a straddle. Or otherwise, come into the half butterfly and turn toward the left leg. You can stay in the straddle if it's more comfortable for your knees or your ankle. And just relaxing forward here. You can always put a pillow along that leg, right across that leg, and rest your chest and your head on that pillow. course, we can kind of increase that stretch through the outer right hip and through the side body by reaching our right hand a little bit more toward the ankle and foot, increasing that stretch a bit. So stretching that gallbladder channel that runs up through the side body and the spleen channel also. We might be noticing that our breathing is slowing down, getting fuller, slower, deeper. Important. The breath is an important part. It helps to move the chi through the meridians, through that network, right, that runs through our body. It's important to keep the breath even and full without forcing it. It naturally deepens when we're in the poses long enough. Okay, so we can start to come up from there by slowly walking our hands in. And if your right leg is bent, you can extend it out. And actually, we'll bring our legs in front of us and in line with our hips, shake them, move them around, bounce them where it feels good. And we'll take a caterpillar pose, right? So that's a forward fold, basically. So always making sure the pelvis, I know all of us shouldn't have this problem, but making sure the pelvis is upright before you come forward. So if a bolster under the hips is needed in order to bring the pelvis forward, and just relaxing over your legs. We never want to get right to our final edge, right? We want to take our time getting there so we can feel into it. People, of course, those of us that have been doing yin a while, we can so much more quickly get fully into the pose and let go and enjoy it. Right? Doesn't take very long. Such a good stretch for our bladder channel that runs all the way up the back of the legs, up through the back of the hips, along both sides of our spine, up all the way across the top of the head, and ends at the inner edge of our eyes. Very long channel. Very important channel. It's our bladder that takes the brunt of those unprocessed feelings and experiences, emotions. They get held in the bladder meridian. Okay, so let's go ahead and slowly bring ourselves out of caterpillar. And we'll put our hands behind our hips. Lean back. Shake the legs a bit. And you want to bring your feet in towards the hips closer and lift and lower the hips a few times. That will help us feel our legs. Also feel our arms and shoulders. And then we'll come around onto our belly into Sphinx. So if you want to have a folded blanket, a pillow, or whatever you might need. And bring our elbows under our shoulders. You might need to be a little wider apart or a little farther forward to start with. And just kind of rock our body a bit to let the pelvis let go here and relax. After all that forward folding, have to get used to this little back bend. You might tense, kind of contract and release the butt muscles. I like to do that when I first come into Sphinx after all that forward folding. That feels kind of helpful to that sacrum and lumbar area. So nourishing for our kidneys and our kidney meridian. It's the spending time in the forward fold and the spending time in the counter pose, which is any kind of a back bend. This is a nice gentle back bend. The going back and forth between those two, that keeps our sacrum healthy. The sacrum joint is the joint that is most liable to stiffen as we age, right, and get fixated. So it's the ligaments that bind the sacrum, and all those ligaments around the sacrum, they get tighter and tighter if you don't stretch and compress, right? Go back and forth between those two positions of forward folding and back bending. really important. So we might want to lift your feet as well and increase your stretch in the front of your legs and hip flexors, as well as the compression in the low back. Another thing that's kind of nice to do after forward folding, and if you're rounding your spine and hanging the head down, is coming into Sphinx to lift the head and look up for a while. So we get a little counter pose for that. And that will help stretch the front of the neck, as well as giving us a little bit of compression in the neck, which is good. A little bit of compression in the neck is good. Right, looking up and holding that position for a little while also increases the stretch in the front of the body, torso. Probably don't want to stay there too long. Okay, so we'll take a short break in half frog. If you want to slide that left knee up and rest head on hands, looking to the left, and also bring your right arm alongside your body if that's more comfortable for your shoulder. I'm just letting that hip relax here. Open. And explore moving that left leg by straightening it out more or lifting it and bringing the knee higher up if you want. Explore that hip opening a little bit. Then we'll slide that leg back down and come back into Sphinx. Or if you'd like to come into seal and straighten the arms, pointing the fingers away, maybe widening the arms a little bit, and also put a folded up blanket underneath your elbows if you prefer, or put a pillow under the hips and pelvis area for support and seal. Any of those options, those variations? Right, feel free to come in and out of any of those variations, and just making sure our breath is not getting labored or short, which is our body telling us that we need to back out a little bit. It does. And you might also, if you're in seal, you might find your butt tensing up a bit, which is probably a good thing. You want to contract the muscles a little bit and then let them relax to help the sacrum get used to that increase in our lumbar flexion. You can always increase the seal pose by walking your hands closer towards you too, and coming even higher, increasing that compression in the lumbar even more if that's comfortable for you. Each day is different, right? So we want to find our edges today. What are they today? You might want to start coming back into Sphinx if you are in Seal, making your way back down eventually, coming out of it slowly. And then we'll take a break in half frog to the right, short break. So sliding the right knee up and looking to the right, resting head on hands. You need your left arm to be alongside your body. Okay, go ahead and slide that leg back down and we'll bring ourselves onto our all fours if you're able to, or if you're not able to, finding another position where you can move your spine a little bit, right? So rounding and arching the back. So slowly starting to round the spine, just kind of curling the tailbone under, and then moving into an arch, a little, just a gentle movement back and forth. Maybe it can grow as we go, starting slowly and gently. And then we'll come to neutral and just circle the hips around a few times, letting everything go. Bit of a spirally motion. Hips and the ribs, maybe the head. And then the other direction. And then we'll sit back into child's pose. If you need to be on your back, hug your knees into your chest. On your knees, you might like to have them together, or you might want to widen them apart to come more into a tadpole, kind of opening the hips a little bit. And if you need to be on your back, you might find a happy baby is a nice way to open your hips, kind of get a stretch in there. So many benefits to child's pose. Get the stretch through our sacrum and our back, the compression in the hips and the compression in the knees. Stretch in the ankles, front of the ankle. Okay, so let's come out from there and bring yourself back onto your knees if you're able to. Let's take a little down dog here. So tucking the toes, lifting the hips. Just whatever feels good here in down dog. You might stretch the heels, walking the heels down, walking the dog. Relaxing the head and the neck. And then coming back down to our knees. If you're not able to be on your knees, come onto your back. Otherwise, we're going to bring our right foot forward between our hands into dragon. And if you'd like blocks for support, one on either side of your foot, knee support, maybe padding under there. Or if you are on your back, you might have a strap and go into that supine dragon, supine lunge position. And start with one hand on either side of our foot or on our knees. You can rock in and out of it, like do a little movement to get into it, right? And then letting that, she wants to play, doggy. Finding that lunge and feeling that hip flexor stretch. And from here, change or into the other variations of dragon if you like, which climbing up onto the thigh into high flying dragon kind of increases that stretch through the flexors, or coming into low flying dragon with both arms on to the inside of the foot, or winged dragon, opening up that, fanning that right knee out, rolling onto the outside of your right foot. That stretch in the inner thigh and hip. We won't be here very long. The dragons is a real good example of a combination of yang, can be anyway, a combination of yang and yin. Right? We're really using our arms. It's a very intense hip opening, hip flexor stretch. All right, so we'll go ahead and straighten our leg that is forward, the right leg, or if you're on your back, you might straighten that leg to the ceiling. Yeah, a little stretch here. That's a happy dog. And then we'll come back around to our knees, both knees under us, or switch on your back to the left foot forward, or left foot into your strap, or if you're holding it with your hands, coming into a supine dragon. So yeah, just finding that lunge. You might bend and straighten, kind of come in and out of it to start with. And start with one hand on either side of the foot, and then coming into any of the variations that feels good to your body, whether you're in high flying dragon, low flying dragon, winged dragon. Feels good to this side, for this side. And if you are on your back with a band or a strap around your foot, you're pulling your knee, pulling it down toward the ground while you stretch your other leg long on the ground. I find dragons to be one of those poses that brings my conscious awareness more into my breathing, brings my consciousness more into my breath. Suddenly I become more aware. You do find yourself breathing a little bit deeper, I think, and needing to dragons, or poses that require a little more effort. Okay, so we'll straighten the left leg. And if you're on your knees, just lean back into a little runner stretch. All right, and then we'll come around onto our back if we're not there already. You want to have pillows bolstering for your knees for the twist. Go ahead and bring them to the left side. Always seem to want to start with the left side. I don't know why. So we're going to come onto our back, hug our knees, and just relax and rock the body around a little bit. And then we'll, stretch your legs to the ceiling. Just straighten them to the ceiling. Yeah, maybe move your feet around, flex and point, circle your ankles, bring the legs in the air. That kind of helps the blood moving back towards our heart. And then bending the knees, bringing your left foot onto the ground. You can come into twisted roots if you want by crossing your right leg on top, stacking your knees. If you like this twist, go ahead and do that, which is just to grab hold of your legs and then guide the knees over to the left. Or if you prefer to have your left leg straight down the mat, you can do that version. So it's really a personal preference if you want to do twisted roots or not. And then our right arm is going to extend out from our shoulder with our arm a little bit bent, a little bit up. And you can look towards that right arm, or you can look towards the left. You can look up, whatever the head and neck want to do. A little different experience depending on where you focus. Making sure that right shoulder's all the way down and the legs can relax, right? So if you need that bolstering underneath your legs so they can totally let go. Just letting our breath massage our internal organs. You want your legs to be a little higher up. We'll bring that twist more into the middle upper back, or if the knees, the legs are lower, farther down, it brings our twist more into our lower back. And whatever feels good to you. Okay, so we'll start to come out from that side by lifting our right leg, bringing that knee up in towards our chest, and then drawing your left leg in. You might need to move your hips a little bit to center them. You can take bolstering over to the right if you're using it. And just let your body relax a little bit, maybe rock around, move the legs, whatever feels good. And then if you'd like to do the twisted roots, you can cross your left leg, stacking your knees. Or if you prefer a different twist, go ahead and maybe straighten that right leg down and just draw your left leg across your body. So coming into the twist with our left arm extended out from our shoulder and maybe slightly bent, slightly up, feeling that stretch that comes across the front of the shoulder and the arm there. Making sure your legs are supported, shoulders all the way down. You might notice your body really starting to relax. Twists have that magic ingredient. So feel free to stay in the twist a little longer if you'd like, or whenever you're ready to come out of it slowly and then come onto your back. And again, maybe hug your knees and relax your body. And then coming into whatever position feels good to you to relax and breathe for a short time as we integrate all the poses. So whether you want to have your knees bent or stretch your legs out or have a bolster under you or a dog on top of you. I'm just taking a moment to integrate breathing fully. I love having a dog on top of me. Feeling the energy circulating through our whole body, through all those channels, those rivers that run through our body, carrying the chi, life force, feeling our breath, nice and deep and slow, the difference in our body, just giving thanks for our body for being there and our breath. In case some of you are wondering what I'm talking about, Jenny has this big, beautiful, happy dog on top of her. All right, and whenever you're ready, you can continue to lie there and relax. Or if you want to get up slowly. And thank you all for coming to Yin today.